Beside me is the new Audi S5, and to fully understand this vehicle, we need to dive into a little bit of nomenclature lore. You see, as Audi was electrifying for a brief period of time, their plan was to make all of their even-numbered vehicles, so think Audi A6, A4, A8, Q4, Q6, etc., all of those vehicles were going to be fully electric, while all of their odd number vehicles were going to be only gas. And then they realized, well, that's going to confuse a lot of customers, and so they've kind of ditched that plan. But because that was the plan for a period of time, Audi had kind of been making plans in that direction. So they merged the A4 and A5 lineups into one vehicle, the new A5 and S5. It's no longer available as a coupe or a convertible. It's only available as a four-door. And again, there's no more A4 or S4 in Audi's lineup. We only have this model for your compact sedan, although it is still a liftback, very much like the Audi A5 Sportback used to be. So let's take a look at this new Audi S5, see what this new kind of hybrid vehicle is like, bridging A4 and A5 body styles, and how well this vehicle drives in 2025. To fully illustrate what I'm talking about, let's take a look at the car's silhouette, which is noticeably more sedan-like, three-box sedan-like, than the old S5 Sportback was, with this kind of flat trunk lid. But this vehicle is still a liftback, just like the S5 Sportback of old was. And this reveals what Audi says is the best-in-class cargo volume. You get 22.6 cubic feet of space behind the second row, and if you fold the second row, you get 36.6 cubic feet of space, which is pretty decent for a very swoopy, coupey compact sedan. And focusing on the design of this car, again, this vehicle is 2.5 inches longer, 1.6 inches taller, and half an inch wider than the outgoing S5 Sportback was, just to make it a little more practical and athletic looking. And I think the athletic design of this vehicle was really well achieved by Audi. Everything really accentuates how wide and low this vehicle is, even though it is an inch and a half taller. And I really think Audi did a great job with the styling of this vehicle. And these DRLs that you can see right now are also a fun feature of this car. There are 8 different customizable DRL signatures around front and around back, which is another element of customizing this vehicle and kind of a cool party trick of the S5. And happily, Audi has made no changes under the hood, where we still find this turbocharged 3-liter V6, same as the last generation S4 and S5 Sportback, and it now makes more power. 362 horsepower, which is 13 more horsepower than before, and 406 pound-feet of torque, which is 37 more pound-feet of torque than before. So it only got better. That engine is now paired with a 7-speed dual-clutch transmission, and Audi has also now added a sport rear differential to help pull you around corners. Climbing into the back of Audi S5, I'm happy to report that it is spacious enough for me at 6'2" to sit behind my ideal driving position. You know, it's a little cramped back here just in terms of space to move around, but I do fit, which is a nice benefit. They have increased rear passenger space just a bit. Compared to the old Audi S4, I would say it's pretty similar. So they've kind of brought the S5 now into the old S4 space, which is a good thing. Lowering this center armrest will reveal a pair of cup holders. We have manual peasant blockers as well, which is really nice. We can appreciate this cool panoramic sunroof, which has a really cool party trick, which I'll dive into shortly. We also have our own climate control zone, heated outboard seats, dual USB-C charging outlets, and mount pockets. Pretty good backseat experience. Now, climbing up front in the new Audi S5, this is Audi's brand new interior that you're gonna find on, say, the Audi Q6 e-tron as well, and the new Q5. And overall, it's fine. I think there are some areas of this interior that just feel like they're not quite as high quality as older Audi interiors. And most of that is just the buttons. I feel like if they replaced the buttons that are in this car with the buttons that they used to have in their old products, that would completely fix all of my qualms with this interior. Like, overall, these seats are super cool and aggressive. I love the new hexagonal steering wheel as well. We have carbon fiber suede Alcantara material as well. And overall, I'd say the build quality is really high. If I slam my door, solid as can be. But Then we have these new buttons. So the infotainment system is fine. There's a passenger display, which really who cares about? 10.9 inches, it's fine. Fully digital instrument cluster as well, and a crazy good heads-up display. That's like kind of the big thing. It's a lot of new augmented reality features in there. So I do like that. But then the buttons, every button is gloss black, which is an immediate like red flag. And they're all also on these like big pads, and the entire pad moves instead of the individual buttons. So say if I want to unlock the doors, I just kind of click on the upper left portion of this button pad that's on the door, and the whole thing moves. And again, everything is gloss black. You have to be one more particular about where you're placing your fingers in order to use these buttons, because again, they're not necessarily individual buttons. And then two, everything is going to get pretty fingerprinty as well. We have no physical climate controls either, which is another kind of red flag for this car. And I don't love this gear selector. You push forward for drive, pull back for, or push forward for reverse, pull back for drive. It's fine, but not my favorite. Again, the design doesn't bother me at all. I really like the big screen, and I really like the new hexagonal steering wheel you get on the S models. I think that's really fun. And this has the same like dimpling as before. So the Audi quality is here. I'm just really not sold by these new gloss black touch button pads. I think they're a bit of a step back. But other than that, I'm a big fan of this interior, and the driving position is spot on. This car is so low, you're so low, and like it feels so dynamic. And I also really love the glass roof on this car. Normally I'm not a fan of glass roofs if they don't have a shade, but this has the feature where it can go opaque. But Audi has taken it a step further, because Audi likes being extra. And so there are 6 individual segments of this glass roof that can individually go transparent or opaque, and you control it with this button right here. So now the whole thing is opaque, and now I'm bringing up the transparent parts, and now the whole thing is transparent. And if I press this, then half of them will go transparent in like a stripe pattern and half opaque, and then in the opposite, so you can dance between them. It's really fun, and I kind of like that. It's a unique, it's a gimmick, but it's pretty cool. But the most important part of this vehicle is how it drives, so let's get it on the road. All right, as I am navigating myself out of this parking structure, I just wanted to showcase the incredible ambient lighting in this vehicle. Audi is king of lighting, and this S5 is no exception. And also, if I put my turn signal on, you can see we have a green sweeping motion across the right side or the left side of the upper dash ambient lighting. That's pretty cool. And if there is a hazard in the way, it will flash red as well. I really like that integration of the lighting element. And you know, something that basically in all cars, it's the same. It's just in your instrument cluster, but it's nice that Audi is adding that to the ambient lighting, because it's much more high and in your line of sight, and lets you know that yes, you did put on your turn signal. All right, getting the S5 out onto the open road. This 3-liter turbocharged V6 is very, very responsive and very powerful. I really, really love how this engine drives, and happy to see it continuing to be in this S5. You know, I do think it's a little more muted than it was in the last generation S5 and S4. But that might just be the fact that this cabin is so quiet. It is impressively hushed in here, because on the outside I would say it sounds pretty good still. And so I think part of that is there's less of it coming into the cabin because it's simply so quiet in here. And that is really a major part of the driving experience of this vehicle, is how luxurious it is. Even in dynamic mode, and even with the transmission in the sport mode, this is still a very comfortable vehicle. And I kind of love that, because you can pull onto a bigger road and give it some gas and you will rock it forward, but then you are still being coddled even when you go over imperfections in the road or potholes. The S5 does an excellent job soaking up all of the bumps. There's copious amounts of torque from this engine, and I think that you really do notice the increase over the previous generation. The power is just kind of there when you request it, and I really, really like that. Because then I can also dial it into comfort mode everything, the engine immediately gets quieter, everything dials down. You still can get plenty of power. It's just gonna take a little bit longer for the car to spool up to provide that power. But this is such an easy and light daily driver when you want it to be, but then can become such a dynamic, sporty vehicle when you want that. Like right now I want dynamic mode, and the car really comes to life, and the dynamic flashed across the heads-up display there. And yeah, I'm very impressed. And I'm also impressed by the price of this vehicle, because I happen to be driving an Audi SQ6 e-tron this week as my press car, and my vehicle has a sticker price of $84,000, which is just kind of insane. Now, that is an all-electric SUV with a bit more space than this vehicle, but this Audi S5 starts at $63,000, which seems very reasonable, and the model that I'm driving in, this fully loaded Prestige, sits at $74,000, which, yeah, that's a lot of money, but you're getting a lot of car. Again, this could easily be a cross-country road trip machine. This could easily be a canyon carver and a very comfortable daily driver. When I got into this car with a full tank, it was reading 400 miles of range, and I have driven not very economically, and it's still saying 395 miles. So that's pretty impressive. And yeah, going 60 miles an hour now, very quiet and muted in here. The transmission is in sport, so if I were to go into comfort mode, things get even more hushed. We have a nice Bang & Olufsen's audio system that also includes speakers in the headrest, and if you have navigation running, it will give the navigation directions just through the driver's headrest speakers, which is a nice feature as well. And yeah, going over that kind of drop in the pavement, the car handled it beautifully. This is such a comfortable vehicle, and I want to quick switch into dynamic mode again. You know, even though it's in the screen, it's still pretty easy to take this corner, although we are behind that F-150, and then give it some gas. It takes a second to downshift with this 7-speed dual clutch sometimes, and I noticed that in the previous generation S5 and S4, although that was a different transmission. They have updated the transmission for this model year, but it's still then just rockets forward. It's crisp and clinical, this vehicle, exactly like you would want from a German sports sedan. Well done, Audi. And I love, love, love this hexagonal steering wheel. I don't know what it is, but it just makes it feel so easy to be dynamic with this vehicle. So very well done on this new S5. So that's the 2025 B10 Audi S5. I'm not sure why they're selling this vehicle alongside the old generation, both for the 2025 model year and not just calling this the 2026, but whatever. I'm pretty impressed by this vehicle. You know, I haven't been the biggest fan of Audi's new generation products. The interiors aren't quite as aesthetically pleasing to me, and I've been a bit worried about the direction they were going in, but this car is very reassuring. Audi's build quality is unquestionably still here. This car drives very similarly to the old Audi S5 and S4, which is a great thing. It's a hoot, and this engine is plenty powerful and will provide great sounds when you want it. So good job, Audi, and this is a very reassuring product to see that Audi still has it. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in my next video.